Welcome back to another episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we cover the best show on streaming, Warrior. Today, we're talking about episode 8, written by our man, Hoon Lee. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 8. We are here. And the first thing that we're going to mention, real quick, you just told me a second ago. Go for it.
No cold open.
No cold open,
which
means
it's a banger. It's gonna be an awesome show. It's like we don't want everybody to be distracted with this credit roll stuff. So
when you start off a show with a credit sequence, you know that there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen.
Yeah. Shit's about to go down.
They're like, listen, we have no time to interrupt ourselves with our own credit sequence. Let's just get it out of the way.
That's exactly it. Man. It has to be. It has to be.
Because they did that with other shows too, Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like if the credits opened up and there was no cold open, you're like,
when it just goes dun 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 dun. Oh shit!
Wait a second. Who's gonna die?
Somebody's gonna die again.
Not somebody. Lots of people.
Lots of people are gonna die.
But this was an amazing episode.
It was great, yeah. And I'm so happy that Hoon Lee, because when we talked to him like a year and a half ago or so, he was like, I really want to be able to write an episode of Warrior. I'm hoping that I'll be able to do so in this next season. And sure enough, he did. And it's one of the best of the season. Yeah. So congratulations to Hoon Lee. Well done, sir. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
And on the official podcast, he likes to point out that he is a writer on the show.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Good. He's kind of like you, isn't he?
Is he a blue check mark? If he is, he'll tell you.
You mean good looking and brilliant? Yes, indeed.
Yep. And bald. I skipped this part, but I'm joined as always. Matt Vader's here. What's up, man?
Hi, man. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you're back.
I miss you guys. If I don't see you at least once or twice a week.
I agree.
And I came in last night for a little while, but I haven't sat in my chair for 2 weeks.
Been a minute.
Because you were sick.
I've been sick. Poo. Yeah, my kids came over, my grandkids, and I got sick the day before they showed up. Well, it was a long week. I did not enjoy myself.
I hope you didn't spread your Captain Trips to them to take home.
I gave it to the wife. Whatever.
Oh, good.
They're kids. They're fine. They have strong immune systems. They're good.
Only the strong shall survive.
Right.
That's how you weed out the weak kids.
They have good immune systems and they're made out of rubber. It's fine.
Jude's also here.
Hello.
What's up? Can't wait for your synopsis.
Me too.
Bridezilla. I laughed so hard when I edited that podcast. Freaking Han and his boyfriend eat each other's nuts. I was like, oh my god.
By the way, I'm getting married.
The funniest thing about the nuts comment was that it was 100% accurate.
100% accurate.
Literal.
You could not even. It wasn't even a joke.
You want some of my nuts?
Yeah.
Yes,
Roasted.
I do.
Salted?
Put them in your mouth.
You can suck my salty nuts.
Put them in your mouth and suck them.
All right. We've got some comments on our YouTube channel. Apparently, we're not taking this show seriously enough.
What?
So, Jude.
Fuck off.
Really?
There are other shows you can listen to. That's not what we're here for.
No.
We're here for laughs and a good time.
Yeah.
And
Jude.
death and murder.
Take it away.
And all the dick.
Episode 8.
Episode 8. Season 3, Episode 8. You know when you're losing a fight. It's Mai Ling's special day, and everyone's there. Lee clocks Yong at the wedding with Ah Sahm and warns Chow that if he's involved in the counterfeiting, he will go down for it with everyone else. A toy fends off another attack from the other brothel owner, and we won't be seeing that guy ever again. Father June and Young June talk outside after the wedding when Father June is lucid, but later Young June wakes up to an attack by his father who doesn't recognize his son. Mai Ling has the elders assassinated while she and Lee Yong consummate their marriage. In the morning, Lee Yong has to finish killing his friend, the lone survivor of her orchestrated attack, and Lee Yong finally realizes that everyone has been right about Mai Ling all along. Buckley's the official mayor, and Leary can't wait to start calling in favors. Big Bill finally starts in accounting at the behest of Lucy's sister. After work, Leary talks him into some light vigilanteing, and he ends up beating the shit out of Kevin Spacey. When he arrives home, he and Lucy share a whiskey and wait for the fallout from the fight. And Lai is now a new member of Strickland's staff. Discuss.
A lot happens this episode.
Yeah.
Man. What do you guys want to start with? You want to start with?
Well, I want to start with no Penny or Sophie in this episode.
It's not happening.
Let
it go.
Back. They'll be back in season 4 as supervillains. It's confirmed.
I also want to point out that JT, as he's known to his friends,
Jonathan Tropper.
you know, when we talked to him about C, you know, like he's like, oh, I don't watch Game of Thrones, like, you know, like it's so far off my radar, I don't even know about it. But he continues the trend of like having fucked up shit happen whenever there's a wedding on the show.
It's true.
This is the Godfather episode of Warrior.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't watch that show, but that motherfucker read all those books.
well, it's the joke where it's like whenever you're watching an episode of Game of Thrones, if there's a wedding, shit goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same in this episode. But it really reminded me, because like one of the highlights of this episode is where Mai Ling is basically fucking her husband.
Leon.
Leon.
It kind of sucks now.
And basically it's intercut with, you know, her eliminating everyone that's kind of opposed to her.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was like, this is the baptism scene from The Godfather. Just
Yeah.
And married sex is not as fun as.
Oh, but yeah, but she knows all that murder's going on, and that really gets her going.
Oh yeah. She didn't even have to choke him this time. It was just straight up.
She's like, oh, so many people are getting choked right now.
So much death is happening.
But that, like, just in all seriousness, though, that like really does paint like a super dark picture of Mai Ling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know she hasn't been my favorite character throughout the series. She's just kind of like, oh, it's Mai Ling. She's just doing her thing. You know, she's playing 4D chess and she's trying to, you know, make something more of herself than just
She's
a
a
Tong
smarter
leader.
Cersei.
Yeah, she's doing all kinds of weird shit. And I was used to it, but it's more fun for me to like watch the dudes fight in the streets, stuff like that, because I'm a freaking guy. I'm an idiot. But then when this happened, it wasn't that I wasn't surprised. I was like, oh, of course she would do that. Because she's a freaking psycho. And like, it's just, I don't know, it was such a good piece of the puzzle. It fit in so well.
Do you think she decided to do that before they came to the wedding to talk to only Lee Yong?
100%.
Or do you think that she decided to do that because they did that?
My gut says that she was planning that all along.
She was going to take him out anyway?
She was waiting for the opportune moment, and I guess her marriage was just a good time to do it. But it's possible that she was like, oh, they're plotting against me.
I want to point out that I don't think that it was psychopathic what she did. I think that it was like a very smart political maneuver. Yeah, it was very strategic because like all these elders who were in charge of the Tongs that her Tong absorbed and still had a lot of sway were actively campaigning to replace her.
Sure.
And she knew this. Yeah. I think she knew it as soon as she got out of jail. You know, so like.
And the Hop White doesn't have any elders that they have to like check in with unless there's people in China.
Yeah, so like the Hop Way is kind of like its own thing, but like the Long Z had become like a conglomeration of like a bunch of different Tongs that they had absorbed.
So she just wants to be like
top dog.
Yeah. So by eliminating all these guys who were actively plotting against her, by the way, because like at the wedding, they offered to basically throw their support behind Lee Yong and make him the head of the Tong. And she's not going to kill Lee Yong, obviously, but Chao makes an interesting kind of like point here in this episode where he's basically like, she can't do this without you, right? Like you know, she might love you for real, but she can't make these maneuvers without your support.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of puts Lee Yong in a weird position where he's like, he loves Mai Ling, but at the same time, like he doesn't agree with like her tactics. But like as a criminal mastermind, she needs to make these maneuvers in order to solidify her power.
She's doing the same thing with Lee Yong that she did with Long Z. Like Long Z loved her, but she never showed her true self to him. But she does with Lee Yong. Lee Yong loves her and also sees her, so he's going to have a lot of hard choices to make coming up.
Does she show him her true self?
Later.
I don't think she does.
I think she expects him to follow in tow.
He had no clue that she was going to have all those people murdered. You know, before that, you know, the elders were all there. It's like, you're married to Mai Ling now. You are in charge.
Yeah.
You are the man. You are the husband of this lady who was temporarily in charge of the thing after our ex-leader died because she was his wife. But now you're in charge. That's what they were trying to tell him. It's like, here's some money. And go get your bitch in line. And let's go.
Yeah, but he's all like, this dude keeps turning a blind eye to the warning signs, right? Because this whole time, she's dangerous. Because
you've got to.
I don't want
he's a fucking cuck.
Yeah, he's simping for this chick, and he's not seeing the warning signs until it's too late. Till it's too late, and then he has to kill his best friend. That was dark, and she's sitting there waiting for like. we should probably set the scene, I guess, a little bit. But the murders all happen during the night when they're consummating their marriage. Great scenes, by the way.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the next morning, they're having like breakfast together.
And she's
they're
doing
chilling.
the traditional,
She's handing him his tea.
I will serve you.
Yeah. She's fucking with his head.
Yeah, well, they're having traditional tea service. And
she was sitting on his lap.
Yeah.
She was like
she was
serving
eventually.
him.
Yeah. And then his best friend, Mark.
The chairman.
Mark DeCascos.
DeCascos, thank you.
The Iron Chef chairman.
Iron Chef chairman comes in with like a rope burn on his neck from somebody trying to choke him out. He's like, she's assassinated every member of the Tong.
Which honestly, they should have come in with a better weapon for him.
Well, I had a big problem with this scene because it felt like a little bit too convenient for me. Because first of all, the Iron Chef has all of his minions still within the Long Z, so he could have gone and like, she tried to kill me, we have to fight back. But he also could have picked his moment to barge in and try to assassinate her because like, you know, she was with his friend. He could have waited until she was like alone or like, you know, bided his time and consolidated some power, got some more soldiers, something.
Or he should have spoken to Lee Yong out of Mai Ling's presence and been like, look what she fucking did. He put Lee Yong in the position where he had to choose in that moment.
Right. It's like, or, you know, follow with me here. He was really upset and angry.
Thank you.
And he just had a rope burn, and he went and confronted them.
He went nuts.
Yeah, he went and confronted them right there in the spot. And he thought that his best friend
would have his back.
Would understand finally after all this kind of stuff happened, and
because he's also been warning Lee Yong this whole time,
and they were all right.
They were all right. So he thought by going there and saying, "Look what she did! I told you she was going to do something like this.
She has to go now.
She has to get out of here." And then. Yeah, he simps for her even harder.
Every single time she makes a move without Lee Yong, and then he finds out the next day, and he's like, "You made a move without me. You said you're going to not do that." She's like, "No, I won't do that anymore." Every single time.
So manipulative.
Yeah, I won't do that again.
Yeah.
And except I just did it again yesterday.
And I have to say the final fight between Lee Yong and Mark DeCascos was fantastic. But
it was heartbreaking.
Unfortunately, his Iron Chef style was no match for his Bruce Lee style.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking fight though.
I really thought it was funny. I thought it was good, but there was that one scene in the middle of the fight where like they're doing their shit and they flip and they flop around, and all of a sudden, Lee Yong finds himself on the opposite side of his wife, and the chairman's like, "Okay," and then it's like the panic in Lee Yong's face. You can see it was really well done.
There was a moment.
It's like, oh, I got to stay between her and him, or else there's going to be problems. And he quickly adjusted. But I just thought that scene within the fight was really interesting.
And I love that part where like the chairman just throws the knife at Mai Ling, and it just barely misses her. And she's like, "Oh no!" It's like that scene from Wayne's World where like the thing goes right by Cassandra's head.
That was this.
And then Mike Myers flexes and his shirt falls off.
That scene with the knife was when I was on the edge of my seat because I thought for a second because I mean this show can still throw some curveballs at us, and I was like, oh my god, did he just get? I thought for a split second I was like, oh, he got her.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I thought this was such a well done fight.
Yeah,
because you could the whole time I was watching like I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. But through the whole fight, you can see facial expressions. I thought the actor who what's his plays Leon. He did such a great job at expressing the frustration and anger.
Yes. When his friend was dead,
even before that, during the fight.
Yeah.
Just during the fight of the conflict that he was going through. You know, and the very beginning was awesome too because he just sat there and he knew. He knew what was going to happen, and then the chairman gave him a second to compose himself, and he does this thing, and he does this stance, and he goes, "Okay, begin." Let's do it, and it was just super cool.
And what was even better is that they have that moment right before they get married, where the chairman goes up and does like this kind of fake fight, but he gets the better of Lee Yong in that moment. And Lee Yong is just kind of like, oh, it's my buddy. It's cool. But then like when he shows up to fight, you're like, oh, is the chairman actually better than Lee Yong? Because he got some licks. And,
Yeah. Yeah, the fight was super intense. This was a great scene. And the heartbreak when he's holding his friend, he's in the water, and Mai Ling is still trying to manipulate him.
Well, even before that, so like there's a moment where like he's in that pond, that koi pond, and he's got Mark Dacascos' head on his shoulder, and he's about to break his neck, and he knows that he's going to do it, and he just takes that little beat, and he's just like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this." And
he's
then he does it.
heartbroken in that moment.
Yeah. And then Mai Ling, what does she say to him when she's
like, they
I
did
had
this
to do
us.
it. Yeah, I had to do it.
They made me do this, basically.
And he's just like,
fuck you, bitch.
So
and
what?
he's just like, I need a minute here,
Yeah,
bitch.
right?
Yeah.
She is, oh gosh, she's so manipulative. Can we talk predictions? I know some of us might have seen the next episode.
I know
but
what happens next.
Don't say nothing,
No, I
dude.
won't.
I don't want to do that because
You don't want to?
No.
I feel like he's got to take her out. How is he not? If he doesn't, then
Well, he loves her though.
Yeah,
So
but,
like
I mean,
if
come
anything, he
on.
might just remove himself from the
I
equation.
mean, I wouldn't be able to whack my wife. I couldn't do it.
she killed all your friends, bro. They're all dead.
Those weren't his friends though.
Well,
Most of the
the
others
one
were.
was.
What if your wife made you kill your best friend?
I'd probably just leave and never return.
I'd
I did a new best
Walk
friend.
there. Yeah.
I'd go wander the earth like
get a
Kung Fu.
new best friend and a new wife at the same
I'd
time.
go be king.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out in this episode, which Hoon Lee, excellent writer, we wrapped up a lot of B and C level storylines in this episode. So the big thing that stood out to me was Toy's little feud with that rival pimp, where he shows up at the wedding, and he's gonna like mess her up, and then like she has like a weapon hidden in her fan.
Oh yeah.
And it basically like she takes out the pimp and all of his guys, and just as like she like kills all of them, like Ah Sahm comes running into the rescue, and he's like,
realizes that a toy isn't at the wedding anymore, and he comes running out, and she's like, nah, it's okay. Go back to the wedding.
no, she's like, this is why I hate weddings.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because like for the previous 3 episodes, like they set up this conflict that she was going to have with this rival pimp, and in this episode, it's just like, okay, that's done.
Yeah. It's over. Very succinct.
That's
a toy
a wrap.
takes him out.
Yeah.
I love her weapons.
So many
though.
assassination attempts at weddings.
Yeah. And I also want to point out.
Brace yourself in November.
I also want to. Oh my God. Freaking Jude.
You're going to have to be on full Batman mode.
Yeah. I'm there for it.
Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Jude and I are getting married in November, so we will have a
And
wedding.
Alex is our wedding Batman. He's there to control if people get out of control.
He's
Jude's
the
all,
Lee Yong.
Oh, did you hear him getting married?
I didn't even wear my ring today. I took it off yesterday. I forgot to put
Did
it
you
back
hear him
on.
getting? You can come if you want.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Can you be my Batman?
You want to come to the wedding? Yes, you're invited.
Yeah, JT, your invitation is in the mail.
I just want to point out real quick the follow through with the story element that a toy is still recovering. Every time she's in a fight, she has that giant scar on her shoulder.
Yeah,
and she favors that shoulder.
She got hacked the fuck up.
Yeah, and I love the fact that she's like, I don't know how many months this is past the point where she's supposed to be healed up and whatever, but every time she's in a fight, she immediately favors that shoulder. She's like, oh my God, freaking shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
They
don't have ice packs.
I know. I just love the fact
something
that they're keeping that as a part of the story for her character moving forward. Like they could have easily been like, okay, she's healed now, she's still a badass. Like, yeah, she's still a badass, but she's injured.
They don't have antibiotics and frozen peas.
My leg just sewed her up real quick with an earring or something. It was crazy.
I do want to point out that yet again, because in the previous episode, Awesome didn't have any fight scenes. He didn't have any fight scenes in this episode either. But things are coming to a head with Printer Girl. I'm sorry, I forget like her character's name. Yeon Mi. Where basically it's very clear to Awesome that Young Jun is planning to have her killed as soon as he doesn't need her anymore because she's training up, other members of the Hopway to do like the printing stuff. And but we also see that Awesome is coming to care for her a lot more. And by the end of the episode, like, he's like, you need to leave. You need to take that money that you printed and you need to get out of
yourself.
town. Yeah.
I mean, Young June literally told him, it's like, don't get attached, man.
Yeah.
Go get some other sticky, have fun. But really, don't get attached.
Did you catch?
Just don't get attached to her.
Did you catch the annoyance that Young Jun had with Ah Sahm when they were at the wedding?
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like,
and I think it's rightfully
he's got that hooker on his lap, and he's having a drink, and he's trying to enjoy himself. And Ah Sahm comes over to try to talk business, and he's like, Jesus, bro, like I don't even want to talk to you right now. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to be at that wedding.
Can I just enjoy the wedding?
Yeah. Can I just enjoy the little bit of time that I have right now? And Assam's like, hey, man, what are we going to do about this, this, and this? And he's like, bro, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, they're not best friends anymore. They're
Not
drifting
right
far, far apart.
Not right now, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like Assam still has some loyalty to Young Jun, but Young Jun is quickly kind of like putting his friendship with Assam aside. But what was another interesting aspect of this wedding was when Big D Lee shows up with his partner.
The Dick Squad.
The Dick Squad. And we get to see the new dynamic between Chao and Lee now, which was very interesting.
It's the same dynamic. I'm still upset about this. Literally square one.
I wasn't very happy about it.
I'm like, they're exactly in the same spot that they were 3 episodes ago.
Before they had this
great adventure to Georgia and became buddies. Now we're back to, hey man, I'm a cop and
the last
I'm like
2 scenes over 2 episodes.
But at least Lee is giving him like the, hey, I'm warning you, get the fuck out of this, because if you're still in it, when I come to collect, I'm collecting you too. He's at least warning him.
Yeah, that there is some mutual respect there now, because I think Chow even said like I know your story now, Mr. Lee. But the really interesting aspect of this is like when they first come into the wedding, Big D Lee instantly clocks. It's like, wait, the Hopway and the Long Z, there's something going on here.
Well,
and he's like,
there's together like this?
He's like, there's a lot more places that the Long Z could hide counterfeit money than the Hopway could.
Yeah.
And what's his partner's name? I want to call him
Mosley.
And Mosley's just like completely like out of the loop on all this stuff. He's like, well, whatever you say, man.
Well, he's following his big dick. It's like, you've got this, kid. I believe in you. Yeah, I'm still slightly annoyed with the Chow and Big Dick Lee. I feel like that was had real potential, and I would have loved to have seen more of it. And now I feel like they're just.
You want a new series? The side adventures?
I mean, I would watch it. I'm just saying I would watch it, but the place that they're in right now, I feel, is too similar to the place that they were in at the beginning of the season.
Maybe their relationship will.
Maybe it might be
beneficial to them both at the end of the series or something.
Yeah, at the end, in the next 2 episodes, if something happens between the 2 of them and that pays off, I'll shut up. I'll put a sock in it. But for now, I'm just like, what was the point? But I could be wrong.
Well, speaking of Big D Lee, Big Bill has like a big appearance in this episode. He was pretty much absent from the last episode, I believe.
Well, he was at the mine or at the concrete place.
Concrete bags.
Yeah, and his brother-in-law was being a dick to him.
Holding that power over his head.
Yeah, this was fun. I loved Big Bill in this episode. Like he gets to, Leary calls on him, right? And he's like, "Hey man, you still got sway in the police department, right?"
Well, he's having a drink after work in Leary's bar, and it's just Leary and him at the bar.
Yeah, and they're like, these freaking, what are they called? Those 2 morons that got arrested for stealing groceries.
Those 2 Irish blokes.
I got their names on
They had a name, but I can't remember what the name was.
O'Callahan or something.
Well, before we get to that scene, so basically he's at the concrete factory. He gets called into the boss's office, who's his brother-in-law.
He's covered in dirt.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, congratulations. Next week, tomorrow, you're going to start here in accounting. And he's like, I thought I had to work my way up for that. And he's like, well, my wife says otherwise.
Yeah.
And so like, he's just very patronizing. And then like he refers him to the actual accountant who's like basically just talking down to him. It's like, you know how to do math, right?
He's
you know how to do basic math?
18-year-old kid.
Yeah. He's like, do you know what discrepancy means, right? And he's like, I fucking know what it means.
and so Bill is already in a bad, kind of downtrodden mood by the time he gets to Leary's bar. And he's just sitting there minding his own business, taking a drink. And as he hears this stuff going around, he's like, I think Leary had even talked to him like previously about, these people all look up to you. If you can't,
rally the
troops of like a 90% Irish, police force, what good are you?
Oh, I think Strickland said that to Leary. Yeah. Strickland was like, well, you're not very good at your job if you can't get the freaking guys out of prison, which is mostly your people runs the whole prison.
Yeah, because Leary immediately wants to start calling in favors with Buckley. And Strickland's like, whoa.
Dude.
We ask for big favors, not these 2 dumbasses who robbed a grocery store.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
He's like, you do that on your own.
That was
Leary's really hard at reading the room too,
Yeah.
because Buckley's literally accepting, his position as mayor, giving his
He's
acceptance
like, I'm going to go interrupt his speech to be like, can you get these two blokes out of the jail, please?
Which brings me to something that I want to share with you guys.
Oh yeah, we have something special.
Yeah,
I can't wait. He's been holding this over our heads
for like 4 days now.
Yeah.
So we got a message from somebody. Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah. So the actor who plays Dylan Leary himself,
Leary.
Dean Jagger. Sometimes I pronounce it Jaeger because for whatever reason I'm terrible with names. But he said, "Hey Lado," he called me Lado. He was like, "It's pronounced like my Uncle Mick's last name, Jagger." And I was like, "Okay, thank you for correcting me."
That's funny.
But the actor Dean Jagger reached out to us through our contact form on our website.
That's amazing.
Yes, and I want to read you his email.
I'm so
in real time. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so it's a very short and succinct email, much like I believe Leary is. But he said, "Hey, lads and lass, just want to say thank you for your podcast. You guys are great, and although I don't have social media, I want you to know Leary is always watching. Solente." And then, I replied to him, and basically he got back to me and schooled me on how to pronounce his name and said that he would love to come on the show at some point.
Oh, that's freaking so cool.
Wait,
My vagina's going to fall off.
my nipples are hard.
I think they are.
She's not gonna know what to do with herself if that happens. My goodness, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for the message. Really appreciate it. That's
I find it fascinating that we talk about how he's not on social media, so we don't know how to follow him or support him or whatever, and he's just like, "I'm always watching."
I found you.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Don't get on that stuff. Once you get on it, you can't get off.
I know. I asked Tropper. I was like, "Hey man, how do I reach out?" Because there was a couple people I wanted to tag in some videos and stuff like that, and one of them was Big Dick Lee, and he has an Instagram, but he never uses it. He has like 100 followers, and it's just like a blank. He has the egg profile picture. It's not even him. And then he was like, Dean's never going to have Instagram, so you're not going to reach out to him. And I'm like, oh, okay. But thank you for contacting us. That was pretty cool.
Well, he started a production company with his brother, and he says that he's doing a lot of traveling right now, and they're going to be doing their own projects and stuff like that. Cool. But ever since he showed up in season 3, we've been wanting to talk to him. So good on you, Mr. Jagger. Thank you for reaching out.
That's cool. Thank you so much. We love hearing from the cast and crew. You guys are awesome.
And I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but he's a trained boxer and MMA fighter. He's certified in jiu-jitsu and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And his first role ever was as Small John Umber in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I was looking at his IMDb page that you had pulled up on the computer. He's in a movie. It's a vampire movie. And I've seen it, but I didn't recognize him because it was just years ago. I watched that movie and I was like, oh, this is a weird, kind of goofy, cool vampire movie.
You don't know what it is?
I forget. It's a name. It's not a title. It's do you remember what it was? I'd have to go look again. But
hold on, I'm going to look it up.
Anyway, it was a super cool movie that I thought would be kind of fun to watch, but I forgot the name of it until just now. And I didn't realize it was him playing in that movie, which is crazy coincidence. But we'll figure out the name in a second.
Yeah, what's great about Leary's subplot in this episode is basically, he's had his run-in with Kevin Spacey. He knows that it's...
Yes, Corbin Nash. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
I've seen it. It's weird, but it's right up our alley.
Okay.
And I feel like we should check it out.
It's a show or a movie?
It's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so basically, Leary is trying to get these 2 Irish kids out of jail. Kevin Spacey's not having any of it. So he goes to Bill. Bill's
Kevin Spacey sucks.
Yeah, he goes to Big Bill, and Big Bill's like, I don't have any sway in there anymore. I'm not a police officer. And Leary kind of gives him a hard time about it. And this is all after he gets schooled by Strickland about when's the time to use political capital and when it isn't.
Yeah.
And so basically, by the end of this episode, the father is at Leary's bar, and he's giving Leary a hard time about not delivering on his promises. And Bill is sitting there listening to this whole thing, and he's just like, fuck it. Let's go get these boys out. And so him and Leary go to the police station, and they gather the troops, and they're like, we're getting these boys out. And they're like, I can't justify that. Bill, we can't do that. He's like, no. I'm not asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Give me the fucking keys.
And so when they go down to the jail cell to release these boys, who shows up but Kevin Spacey. And
now it's a cage match.
Yeah, seriously.
A literal cage match.
Yeah.
But Kevin Spacey basically says okay, if you can kick my ass, you can have these boys go free. But if I kick your ass,
you and
Leary
are both in jail.
Yeah.
And that's the bet that they make. And I was genuinely worried.
I know.
For the first half of this fight.
Kevin Spacey can throw.
He was throwing down, and I was like, "Oh shit, Bill, come on, man!" And he's all, he's tired and sore.
And everyone watching it is saying like, "Come on, Bill,
Bill, God damn it, Bill!" And
for the love of all the designers, please, Bill.
Freaking Leary's like, he's hung over the gate, just like, "God damn it, I made the wrong bet."
Yeah.
And of course, the evil Kevin Spacey has to go on a freaking evil monologue. He's like, "I think you could take me." Da, da, da. He just starts spouting off, and Bill's like, "Would you please stop? Please stop." And he's like, "Stop what? Stop fucking talking." And he just pounds the shit out of him.
That was a great moment.
That was a great moment.
But then, so like Bill defeats Kevin Spacey and takes the boys out with him, and everyone's celebratory. But then like he gets home and he is just
fucked up.
Listen, I have
one of my favorite things in the show.
God bless his wife.
Listen, is it Lucy, right? Lucy continually has a place in my heart.
I know.
Every time she's on screen, I'm like, God damn it.
She's the best wife anyone ever had.
She's like, "What did you do this time?" He's like, "Well, I fought the police chief and I knocked his ass out in the jail cell." She's like, "Oh, give me that."
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, all right."
She takes the whiskey bottle.
She takes the whole bottle from him and starts drinking it.
And it's kind of funny because Bill, he basically says it's like there are going to be repercussions for this. Even though he won the bet and the bet's going to be honored, the police chief.
By the way, I got the accounting job.
The police chief is going to come after him, and so he basically is just like, "Yeah, I just fucked myself again."
Yeah. He's because I mean they'll let the kids out of the jail, but then that chief is going to come hauling ass after Bill and anything that he has to do with.
I know what happens next.
Don't tell me,
I'm not going to tell you.
Don't tell me.
You keep doing this so I don't give it away with my eyes.
But there's this big theme running throughout this episode, based off of the episode title, where it's like, when you're losing a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically all of our main characters are in some state of losing something in the course of this episode. And the big one is with the guy who says the titular line, which is Father June and Young June, where after the wedding, Father June's outside, he's enjoying like the fresh air, he's lucid once more, and Young June sits down next to him and kind of like shares a moment with him. But Father June says like, "I know that I'm losing this fight.
Yeah.
Like I'm losing like my mental facility. I'm no longer myself." And later on in the episode, he almost kills Young June by sneaking up on him in bed and putting a knife to his throat. And he's having this delusion that like he's somewhere else and he's younger.
He keeps having these like flashbacks of other fights he's been in.
Yeah. And so Young June, luckily, he's able to kind of like talk his dad down, but he still blames Awesome for what happened to his dad. And so this kind of like is starting to escalate into Young June specifically stating that Awesome is now like on his enemies list as opposed to like, being his right-hand man.
Man, that's a turn of the tides for sure. That's crazy.
I know what happens with that too.
Stop it, Jude.
Watch the episode.
I will.
Watch the rest of the goddamn season so I can finally talk about it.
You mean watch the penultimate episode?
Oh, I'm almost out. This was a phenomenal episode.
Really good.
I love the fact that it tied up all these little side plots. And like you said, the title is poignant for every character almost that we love. Like they're all on the ropes. They're all losing a fight in one way or another. Ah Sam's going to lose Printer Girl. Young June's going to lose his father. Bill's going to lose everything again. It's one of the better episodes of the season so far. It's got a great fight scene in it. Freaking Lee Yong, dude.
Oh, it's got two great fight scenes.
Yeah, two great fight scenes. Bill versus Kevin Spacey.
And it's got a little sneak peek to something that's about to happen, is that we see that Lai is now
thank you for reminding me.
a member of Strickland's staff. She's posing as a maid.
So the camera goes through Strickland's house, and like it's just this like maid from the back, and she turns around and you find out it's Lai.
Yeah, so in the previous episode, we saw that Lai was kind of like...
she needs to kill somebody.
Staking out.
Yeah, she was surveilling Strickland's security, like kind of like clocking like what he's got going for him. And then we find out that she's infiltrated his home staff, which is mostly Chinese, ironically enough. And so like we're like, oh,
because they're cheap. And he's cheap.
But also she blames him for like destroying the vineyard, lesbian vineyard, and basically being like, I'm gonna get my revenge.
Chateau de Lesbian. Vintage 1876.
Poor manor.
Slave labor camp. Oh man, we jest. People are like, please don't take this.
We don't.
We don't. I don't take ourselves seriously.
Any of our other shit, we've never taken anything seriously.
No, we don't take anything seriously.
And that's part of the fun. But so we end this episode on that big reveal that Lie is like a hair's breadth away from Strickland, and we've already seen set up and payoff that Strickland knows how to use a sword.
Yes.
So oh yeah, man, I forgot about that. I want to know if she is keeping a toy in the loop with this or not.
No, she's completely rogue on this.
She's rogue.
Yeah.
How do you know that for sure?
Because there's been many instances where Toy says, "Forget about it. We're moving on. Don't go after this guy."
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She keeps telling her, "You're not ready."
Yeah.
Yeah, and she even says, "I'm not ready." But Lie doesn't listen to her.
Shit, Lie's gonna die.
I kind of don't care.
What? What's wrong with you?
Somebody has to die.
Well, yeah, I hope a lot.
They
of
might
people
as well be this character we get for 12 seconds an episode.
Which is super cool though.
You know.
But that's gonna set a toy on fire.
Sure.
And Ah Sahm.
Yeah.
He's also gonna be like, this son of a bitch. And we're gonna have a big.
Something's got to happen with Awesome pretty soon because, it's time. He's been laying low for a couple episodes.
Right? We got 2 episodes to go. It's time for some shit to go down.
Yep.
I feel like Andrew Koji's just like, hey, can you give me a break for like 2 episodes? Yeah. I'm always the one fighting.
Yeah.
He was Batman this season for a hot second, and I loved it. Great.
Chinese Batman.
God, I love this show.
I think that's the end.
That's the end of the episode.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I'm just enjoying the hell out of this ride. This is so much fun.
So Jude, tell us what happens next.
I already wrote my synopsis.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I haven't watched it yet. So.
I haven't watched it either. All right, we're gonna end
Episode 9.
No.
Man, there are only 2 more episodes left.
I know. I'm super bummed about that.
Have we heard if they're getting like a 4th season?
Nothing.
God,
Dude, with the writer's strike and the actor's strike, nothing's gonna happen
for
a long time. We're stuck in the rut.
Wait another 3 years.
I know. Seriously.
It's gonna be a Survivor season 49 pretty soon.
But you know what is I'm hoping, maybe, assuming that the studios are going to be hurting for content when the strike does end. So maybe they'll start.
They're just going to start putting out stuff that's already been filmed that they've shelved.
Yep. They're going to do that, and there's going to be a lot of
reruns,
game shows, and reality TV shows because they're dumb and cheap to make, and they don't need actors.
Did your A24 agree to all the union requests, and they're still running? A24 still doing all their stuff because they're like, yeah, it's cool, guys, whatever you guys want. They just signed on the dotted line. They were like, yeah, let's keep making movies.
Good.
And all the other studios are like, we're not doing that.
Shareholder.
So, I mean, maybe we can get an A24 produced Warrior season 4. I don't know.
We should also point out that some of the people in our comments section on our Warrior videos, love your comments, by the way, they pointed out that the mother from the bottle episode was actually Bruce Lee's daughter.
I thought we knew that already.
I didn't know that. We didn't say it during our review. Did you know it right away or after the fact?
I mean, I knew about it. I just didn't think it was that big a deal. I guess. I don't know.
Just the showrunner of the show.
Yeah.
Or one of. What was Lee Yong's Joe something? Taslim. He followed us on Instagram. Thank you, Joe.
That's cool.
Appreciate it. That was really cool.
I love when people on the show follow us.
And
the
Detective
German
Mosley.
hooker.
German hooker.
Larissa.
Talked about that.
Yeah.
And
every time we
Gross
mention
Ginger.
her, Vader gets the chills.
Not a ginger.
Not a ginger.
Yeah. And let me see. I'm going to have to edit this a little bit.
She had a little kind of like moment in this episode where Buckley finishes his speech.
She was gazing up at her man with such marriage eyes.
Yeah, and Buckley comes down and kisses her publicly for the first time. It was a big deal.
And Nick Cordelone, I'm sorry, I apologize if I'm screwing up your last name, but Detective Mosley from the Dick Department. He followed us as well.
Big Dick Mosley.
Big Dick Mosley. So good times all around. Thank you guys so much for producing this amazing show. We love talking about it, and we love producing our show and
I love
building
the Dick
the fan
Squad
base.
uniforms.
Yeah.
The black.
Hopefully Hoon Lee takes some time off the official Warrior podcast to listen to us. We would love to have him back on the show sometime.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. If you want a podcast to listen to that takes the show seriously, listen to that one.
It's an excellent podcast.
Yeah.
It's really well done. They cover it in a far more professional manner than we do.
Of course.
I don't know what you were signing up for, but it's not professionalism.
We're not the official face of anything, except for fucking Shady Mile Whiskey.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. We just really like their stuff. All right, guys, we're going to polish this up. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for commenting. As always, you guys' insights are great. A lot of the times, your theories are awesome, and pointing out things like having Miss Lee here as the mother from that episode was really cool. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it. I learned it when I was reading through our comments. So thank you guys for being regular fans. It's awesome. That's it for the show. Tune in next week for the penultimate.
Only 2 more episodes left, man.
Sad.
It's a bummer.
So sad. But we're going to enjoy every second of them. So, adios. See you next week. Stay sticky.